Hello and welcome back everybody to the Foodbuild factory, where today we're going to take a look at something special, and that is the Grafton monster. Now, it's something special indeed because it's actually a revisit of one of my first characters ever, the Brawler. And as always, I'm going to show you some gameplay in the first part of the video, and in the latter half of the video I'm going to take a closer look at the perks, mutations and everything you need to know in order to make the build right. Now, first things first, what's this going to be about? This is a power armor character that uses no weapons, but only his power armor fists. And I gotta say, I'm really glad I revisited this build. The reason I did was that back when I made the video, the Brawler, that was before patch 22 went live. So there were still multiplicative damage calculations. We also didn't really have enemies like this here level 100 super mutant, and honestly I thought that, well, nowadays this build really couldn't keep up anymore. However, with some slight changes and things I learned over the time, I'm generally surprised and happy to say that the build works better than before. I mean, there's basically no limits to it, which is odd. I mean, you're not going to take down Scorch Beast Queen, don't get me wrong, but yeah, for some reason I really like this build, and it must be one of my top 5 playstyles, honestly. Like, there's just something to the build that's really awesome. Like, on top of the utility, you don't have to bother about repairing weapons or anything. The only thing you sometimes have to repair is your power armor, but let's be real, everyone who uses power armor knows that the only thing you have to repair from time to time is your legs. Like, I generally can't remember when the last time was I repaired a power armor torso or something. And on top of all of that, man, we're not even dealing bad damage. Like, I still can't believe it. I mean, it's obviously not going to out-damage a properly built melee character or something, but yeah, this character is just pure joy. Also, even the fights that drag a little, like if you're fighting a Scorch Beast or something, and don't get me wrong, you can definitely do that, you're not getting bored, like, especially if you're switching into first person. The gameplay is really action-packed, and you basically, the only downside is like melee in general in this game. I kind of feel like hits often don't connect or something, but overall I really like the aesthetic of the game. Another big plus point is if you're playing this on a public server, yeah, people are going to look at you like you are a maniac or something, but generally when you play, there will be people that like message you in something and are surprised about how much you can actually do in an event or something with this character. Now, I'm going to switch into first person soon. I like how it's playing out in third person, don't get me wrong, but yeah, as you can see here, the problem is connecting your hits. For me at least, I'm kinda terrible when it comes to melee, but yeah, you see, well, let's take that stim pack. We're running through a little bit of stim packs, but yeah, that's not a big deal in my opinion. But and yeah, since this is more of an endgame character. However, I do really like it. Also, another thing to mention is, obviously, as you can see here, we're using a Grafton monster mask, and yeah, obviously using a helmet would give us a bit more defense. But yeah, I just wanted to have this look. I wanted to recreate this look ever since the Grafton monster mask was available, to be honest. And yeah, overall I'm really glad I revisited this build. One thing that's very notable and makes a big difference this time, back when I did the Brawler, for some reason I just assumed that the Tesla coils for the arms, the Tesla modifications, would be the go-to approach, and yeah, I generally can't tell you why or anything, but I just assumed that those were the best damage mods for the power armor. However, this time around I played a little bit with modifications and combinations. Now, for a short period I thought that maybe it's similar to brawling and weighted for your usual armor mods, where only one of them, or at least when it comes to the armor penetrating ones, only one of them counts. So I thought the best combination might be to use one hydraulic bracers and one Tesla bracers. But yeah, I found out that I did perform best with 2 times the hydraulic bracers, and as you can see here, we're 3-hitting a level 100 super mutant, which is awesome in my opinion. Like, I really love how the build turned out. Playing with it is extremely fun, I gotta say. Now, another downside is you don't have a Pip-Boy light, because yeah, that's just sadly something that happens when you're using a mask or something instead of a power armor helmet. However, I do have put my helmet to the vet slot, to the quick wheel. So yeah, when I'm getting into darker territories like indoors and such, I can just quickly swap in and out between the power armor helmet and the mask. But overall, I really prefer the looks with the mask. And yeah, as you can see here, we're not doing well at all. By the way, I wanted to start this video a bit different in terms of what we're killing than on other characters. Usually I show off weaker enemies and then slowly work my way upwards to super mutants. But this time around I wanted to start with super mutants because I feel like those are... yeah, high level super mutants are probably the thing you wanna be able to kill quickly on your characters. Because if you can do that, there's basically nothing that stops you in the world. Like, a level 100 super mutant must be one of the most dangerous enemies you will face. Now obviously there's special kind of dangerous things, for example, for certain bloody builds, Myelor King or something might be the most difficult enemy or whatever, but yeah, in general, if you're capable of killing level 100 super mutants efficiently, then your build is set. Now, I know that a good chunk of the damage we're dealing comes from passive damage from our Tesla calls, and basically, yeah, just so you know, obviously the video from Angry Turtle where he has taken a look at all the passive damage was definitely one of the reasons why I wanted to revisit this character, because it reminded me of the Quantum Brawler. However, yeah, this time around I really feel like we created something more powerful. And yeah, let's see how we're doing against some ghouls. Another thing we have on our character is Pain Train, so sprinting into an enemy and power attacking can be an extremely powerful combination, like if you get the hits to connect. Now, this is a bit hard, and I still don't manage to do that like on a regular basis, but every now and then you really feel like you have some great impact. And yeah, that's just something I love about the character. You're clunky and you feel slow, but you carry a lot of momentum. Now, another thing which you can see here quite well is the difference between power attacks and standard attacks. Now, you really want to use power attacks as much as possible on this character. However, I didn't feel like it was beneficial to increase AP more or use modifications that let you power attack for less action point cost. I rather wanted the damage, and I still think that's the go-to approach. But honestly, that's pretty much one of the only compromises you have to make with this character. Everything else synergizes very well. And another thing that's good is you can just switch pretty easily between this and the standard melee build. Now, the only difference is that you would want to swap in some damage perks. For example, two perk cards for Slugger and Slugger Master or something. and you're ready to go with more efficient weapons. Now, generally I had a great time with this character. Also, usually I put together a character, play for about 2 to 3 hours with it, gain the necessary level ups in order to swap some things in and out here and there, and then make a video. However, with this character it was a bit different because I basically wanted to revisit it for personal interest and used it in order to progress the main story a little bit. And I gotta say, if you're just wanting to have this guy for the main story, you're actually feeling overpowered sometimes. It's crazy. Like, I recently got a anti-armor swing speed warglaive, and now I really wanted to finish the quest line on this here character in order to get modifications for that. So yeah, that's why I basically played this character again. Alright, we have a legendary here. Now obviously we're not going to outdamage the health regeneration from mutating enemies, but another thing is you don't have to worry about time as much with this character. If you're going against groups of enemies, what happens is that, yeah, you're basically wearing down enemies while you fight another enemy, and that works out really well as well. So if you're getting swarmed, your Tesla calls really do some good damage to the point where when you get to fight an enemy, you really are already down to like 50% of its health. This was kind of stupid, sorry, must have been painful to watch. You know what, let's go against the Scorch Beast. I hope he's landing, but yeah, we're fighting his little bitch boys here, and if he decides to land, we're going to go against the Scorch Beast. Another thing you can see here quite well is these dust clouds. So for those familiar with the game, you probably know what that means. That indicates we're having the Plague Walker mutation, but honestly we don't have it for damage reasons. It's simply too weak to count on its damage. It's just a bit of a style point, to be honest. Fits the character a little bit well, this filthy monster type of character. And damn, I thought I heard the sound of landing there, but sadly not. Oh yes. Another noteworthy thing to say here is that we're not using any buffs at the moment. Last time I showed the Quantum Brawler, I did use, if I recall correctly, a melee bobblehead or an unarmed bobblehead for 25% extra damage, and I used the the Mutant Hound chops for extra 20% melee damage. And this is something you can really do on this character. You can do a lot with different consumables. Now, a good pick obviously would be Nuka Shine if you really fight something like this here. Scorch Beast, wherever it is now. Ah yeah, over there. I really hope it lands sooner or rather than later. It's a bit of a shame, as you can see here, it only has a sliver of health left, so we weren't far, like 2 to 3 power attacks and it would have been down. But yeah, back to the topic. Yeah, consumables are great in general on melee characters. You can do a lot, but unarmed especially benefits a lot from consumables, because yeah, you have consumables that boost unarmed or melee, which both ultimately boost your damage with unarmed weapons. And on top of that, yeah, everything that boosts your raw strength would boost your damage. However, since patch 22, boosting your strength isn't as important anymore, because yeah, it's not overall impacting your damage all that much. That's what I want to say. So I'd rather focus on things like unarmed bobbleheads. Fury would be a good pick. The Super Cam, obviously, which you get from the Brawling Chemist legendary perk. So yeah, there's a lot of options you have in order to increase your damage. Now obviously, now that I think about it, I feel like possibly if you're doing everything right and set it up right, with the right buffs and especially with Nuka Shine, you could probably kill even the Scorched Beast Queen on your own. However, that would take a more skilled and better player than me. By the way, the gameplay is a bit long already, but I just want to go against some robots over there. And then we're going to take a look at the perks and everything else. I mean, I already talked a little bit about perks and equipment especially, but yeah, we're going to see. Another thing you can do is you can squeeze out a little bit more base strength if you use certain modifications on your power armor. For example, our legs, as far as I can tell at the moment, should be pretty much bare bones. Alright, we're punching tires now. Alright, just standing here is enough. Yeah, exactly. Our legs, I think, are completely unmodified at the moment. So obviously you could use calibrated shocks, and probably would, to be honest, if you're playing the character. But yeah, if you want to have that little bit of extra damage, you could go for how they're called, motion assist. All right, we were close to dying here, but yeah, in order to get some 2 extra strength, wouldn't do all that much probably. We're basically talking about a damage increase of maybe 5 points or something. It's a bit hard, by the way, to really get the build together, because yeah, you have no, or at least no way I know of, to see your damage actually. Like with other weapons, you look at the weapon and you see how much damage it deals. Now obviously you should never really take them at face value, because yeah, weapons can perform very differently even though they have the same damage number. But as a general indicator, I do really like it, and yeah, it's just something you don't have when it comes to your power armor gauntlets, because they're not a weapon, they're power armor gauntlets. Now that was everything in terms of gameplay I wanted to show. We had a good mix here. I think we took down a Scorched Beast, we took down level 100 super mutants, robots, ghouls, some wolves. I think there's nothing left you basically need to see here. So let's get into the juicy stuff. Now here you can see our hydraulic bracers give us plus 15 strength. That's basically how they improve our damage, I guess, but it's a bit hard to tell, honestly. Now we're under influence of a red away, but that's not important here. We do have red worms, which are probably, yeah, if you want to have the effect from the Plague Walker mutations, you know, these little dust clouds around you, red worms is probably your best bet. It's active for a long time. You basically pick it up every time you're fighting ghouls, which, yeah, within an hour or something, you basically never pass an hour of gameplay without fighting some ghouls. So yeah, red worm's something you can really keep up, and since you are in power armor, yeah, radiation damage isn't a problem for you anyway. So yeah, that's a good pick here. However, the more important stuff is this here. Empath, 6% damage taken and 25% less damage taken for your team. Now this works quite well with some perks, and obviously if you're on a team, so keep that in mind. If we were on a team, we would basically perform better, but I'm going to talk about it when it comes to the perks. Now Marsupial, Plague Walker, Speed Demon, Talons, Twisted Muscles, and Unstable Isotope. Now no way around it. Talons and Twisted Muscles, they are just pure damage increase for you, so you want to have them. Speed Demon, while we're not reloading, the faster walking speed is nice to have. Plague Walker, I already talked about it. Yeah, we're not looking for the damage, it's just a visual thing we want here. Marsupial, always on my characters. And noteworthy picks here. Unstable Isotope, for once I think like it's kind of cool. I would also add electrically charged, but I generally didn't find a mutation vendor, believe it or not. That's also the reason I don't have Carnivore, which I would highly recommend, because there's some very good buff items that you can get hold of easily. Like, for me, a go-to would be the Mutant Hound Chops. They are easy to get in masses and hold for half an hour and give you 20% extra melee damage if you have the Carnivore mutation. So those would be a good pick. Now, in terms of AP refresh and such, yeah, being hydrated, being well fed, that would be both kind of good. It's up to you if you want to do that or not. And let's get into the more juicy stuff here. No weapons. As you can see, we have no weapon equipped. I mean, we have explosive bait here from a quest line, but yeah. And here it gets interesting. We do have the coiled Scorched XO1 torso. Now, Scorched obviously is just a paint job, doesn't do anything, but yeah, the Tesla coils here. Now, you do have other options like core assembly for action point refresh or something, but in general, I feel like the passive damage going on from Tesla coils is the best benefit you can have on this character. You could arguably also go for a low health build here and use emergency protocols, but yeah, that would squeeze out a little bit more damage, definitely. But yes, we use the Tesla coils here. Now here's our Grafton monster mask. These here very important. Hydraulic bracers on our arms 2 times, and yeah, there we have it, completely unmodified except for the Scorched paint job. Our legs. Now, as I said, you could get a little bit more strength here, or basically more carry weight, but nothing that really makes or breaks the character, in my opinion. Now, onto our perks. Obviously, we have maximum strength of 15 here. Now, what's important is Iron Fist, Incisor, and Martial Artist. Pain Train, I do like it. As I said, it can synergize very well with the power attack out of sprinting, or if you're getting, yeah, Pain Train is surprisingly powerful. Now, hitting a level 75 ghoul with it twice is enough to kill him. So, yeah, if you're just walking through the White Spring Golf Club, for example, gather all the ghouls, sprint through them, same way back, you basically kill 20 ghouls. So, it's up to you if you want to use it or not. I also like how it changes the way you look when you're sprinting and the camera moves and such. It just gives you a bit more weight, and in terms of gameplay, I think like it improves the feeling, but it's not necessary here, so you could go for something else. And last thing we had here was Traveling Pharmacy for using cams and carrying Stimpaks a lot. Onto Perception, we are at a basic 1, and you can pick whatever you like here. Best pick would probably be either 1 rank of Glow Sight, or if you want to use that, Butcher's Bounty would probably be a good pick here. I just didn't have a lot to choose from, and to be honest, I didn't feel like it's necessary to use a level up here in order to show you something like Butcher's Bounty, because yeah, here's nothing we desperately need. As I said, 1 rank of Exterminator, 1 rank of Glow Sight, that would be good picks just to give you situational damage bonus, but yeah, nothing we need here. Endurance is definitely lower than it was on the Quantum Brawler, and you feel it, like you definitely take a bit more damage, and yeah. But since we are in Power Armor, I think we're at a good sweet spot. We use some Stimpaks here and there, but I don't feel like that's a problem. Adamantium Skeleton, by the way, is wrong here. We wanted to have Fireproof. Adamantium Skeleton doesn't do anything in Power Armor. Not sure why I had this here in. Life Giver rank 4, I really want to have it here. And Fireproof, as you saw, since we played without Fireproof, we can even survive a Super Mutant Suicider. So if you feel like you can live without Fireproof, Cam Fiend would actually be a good pick here, since probably if you want to recreate a character, there's a good chance you want to do use some cams here and there. That can really benefit you. I just usually don't show characters under the influence of buffs, because I know there's a lot of people, me included, that just don't like to keep up with buffs. I just feel this game has some good options that are easy to come by, and especially when it comes to food items. As I said earlier, mutant hound chops, put one in, lasts for an hour, and yeah, it gives you 20% extra damage. Nothing wrong there. Onto charisma. Now this was initially higher. I went for suppressor and tenderizer. Now tenderizer, obviously, our follow-up punches do more damage, and suppressor just reduces it. Now I have a feeling, but I really have a hard time to test it and verify it, but that everything in our range under the influence of the Tesla calls, meaning if we're getting swarmed, like every ghoul in melee range for example, is affected by suppressor and tenderizer simply because we're technically hitting it with our Tesla coils. Now as I said, it's hard to verify, as you can imagine, especially suppressor. I mean, how do you test it? I'm sure there's people who are more than capable of coming up with a solution, but it's not me. So I wanted to have this combination here. Now for a short time I had higher charisma at rank 7, which I used for, where is it, strange in numbers, because yeah, if you play this build on a team, as I said, you have the empath mutations, so if you use strange in numbers, your mutations are more effective, which also affects your talents and marsupials, talents and twisted muscles, so you just gain a net benefit in damage. But also I'm not sure how the combination works exactly, but if you're using strange in numbers and the empath mutation, you basically get tankier and don't lose out on tankiness in combination with class 3. But that's neither here nor there. For the video, what you saw here was this, and this is all you need. But just keep in mind, increasing it in, for 1 and use strange in numbers could be very beneficial if you run in teams. Now onto intelligence. Importantly, we have power user here. I mean, you can definitely live without it. I just found it very easy because yeah, I didn't lose a single fusion core over the 10-hour duration I played with this character, because yeah, finding a level 25% charged fusion core here and there makes it so, in order with combination with our legendary perks and so on, you basically gain a power fusion cores over time. So it's just nice to have, but not necessary. And the other thing here is nerd rage. Now, since we are in close situations all of the time, we take a lot of damage. We often get under 20% health. That's where our Born Survivor perk kicks in, and having nerd rage as a safety net here is kind of nice. Now also, as I said earlier, this gives you the benefit that yeah, with some slight changes to the build, you could make it a low health build, which add in adrenal reaction mutation, add in radical, and yeah, you could definitely squeeze out a good amount of damage. But I wanted to make this a full health build. So onto agility. We do have Action Girl, Through Hiker, Born Survivor, and Adrenaline. Now, only thing really necessary here, in my opinion, is Adrenaline and Born Survivor. Especially if you're getting swarmed or something, you don't want to bother with taking a stim pack here and there, me at least. So having, sorry, yeah, already on my third beat or something. Having Born Survivor on is nice, and Adrenaline rank 5, yeah, it's just too good of a benefit, especially if we don't need anything else here. Through Hiker, yeah, convenience, carry food buffs and shit. Nuka Quantums for AP refresh and healing and everything, you know. And Action Girl, well, if you are in doubt and don't know what you want to use in agility, Action Girl or Action Boy is never a bad pick here. And onto luck, we do have Bloody Mess. Doesn't give you the best benefit, but it's definitely noticeable without it. And then we have Ricochet, Class Freak, and Starch Jeans. Now Ricochet, just a bit more survivability, nothing. There's no synergy here like with vampire weapons or anything. It's just, yeah, the plain benefit of getting less damage. Yeah, as I said, Bloody Mess for damage. Class Freak, we're highly mutated, however we could live without it, since we don't have a single mutation that really cripples us. Now the only thing, empath would be kind of crippling, but not to a point where we couldn't use it. But another pick would be serendipity, for example, but that's about it. Maybe lucky break if you really want to dump down on your build and say you never want to repair anything. But yeah, class 3 felt like a good pick here. And last but not least, Starch Genes, which is pretty self-explanatory. Onto our legendary perks here. Not all of them are really useful. Like Hack and Slash, for example, we basically never use that, so I didn't in the video at least. So yeah, you can counter out that. Same for Master Infiltrator, which, by the way, I just saw. Yeah, very stupid of me. I used that yesterday and wanted to definitely use Explosive Palm again, which, now that I think about it, yeah, obviously this would have made a great difference. But you saw we're not struggling with damage, but trust me, Exploding Palm, basically hands down the best perk for this build. Extra damage from time to time, and if you max that out, yeah, you have a good chance to proc it when hitting an enemy. Now collateral damage, enemies killed with a melee weapon, that also counts for your unarmed weapon, so if you kill an enemy it has a chance to explode afterwards. Taking one for the team, if you're on a team and getting attacked, you deal more damage, would be extremely useful for fights like the Scorch Beast. So as you see here, a reoccurring theme, this build can really benefit from being on a team a lot. I just didn't want to bother to ask a friend to come here just in order to be on my team and then stay away from me just so I can use those perks. But yeah, you see the build still has room for a lot of improvement, and I'm already surprised how well it did without all those. Now Electric Absorption, very good when you are in power armor always, so max that out if you have time for it and feel like you can use the tankiness. And last but not least, Legendary Agility for some extra perk points, but basically what this means here is, yeah, through Hiker or Action Girl, it's not necessary. I just had it on for, yeah, having it on here. Now I hope you did enjoy the build. I'm really glad I revisited it. I mean, I said that like 5 times in the video already, I guess, but yeah, just wanted to make sure again I say it. I'm generally surprised about the build, and if you ever feel like trying something else, go for it. Just try the build out. I swear it's a lot of fun, and you can't do anything wrong with it, because if it's not for you, you can easily transform it into a melee build, in my opinion. So I can only advise you to do it. It's a lot of fun. You could also do it in a group. I can imagine like 4 people doing it in a team and just punching everything to death would be a lot of fun. So overall, if I had to rate the build, this is a 10 out of 10 for me, because it's efficient enough so you never struggle. It's very easy to maintain. There's not a lot you have to keep track of. The only thing, maybe you have to have a good supply of Stimpaks, but not even that bad. And yeah, you don't have to bother with weapon repairs or anything. You can just outright walk up to an enemy, punch it in the face, and feel like you are in a tank and you are the Grafton monster. So on that note, I hope you enjoyed it. See you next time, guys. Bye.